we actually have a nice little surprise that I'm going to be starting at the beginning of the streams too. And we're going to be reviewing some VODs. We're going to be reviewing some of your games. And this is from a viewer in the last video that I just put out about Penny. And his name was, I forgot. He may already be here. But it's, Can I Help You? Can I Help You? That was the YouTube name. And on here, it's under I'm Lost Here. But what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just have this review up. We're going to look at it together. I'm going to have some live commentary on it. I'm going to post it on YouTube as well as a little snippet. So that way we can have, everybody kind of come together and we can grow together as a team. Because I'm going to go off on a little rant real quick. This is how I aim for this content on this channel to go. And I get a lot of comments. Most people are trolling. You're only in X and S rank. You're only this high up. To that's loser behavior. I'm sorry, that's just loser behavior, because there is never a point. If you assume that you are done learning or that you know everything, then that's as far as you're going to go. You're going to immediately stunt your growth. And I am a strong proponent of you can learn just about anything from just about anybody if you look hard enough or if you're open enough to hearing some of the good parts out of it that they're trying to show you and apply it to what you have. So I'm not going to always get everything right. Heck, I'm going to have the wrong perspective on a lot of things. But as I've stated in videos past, this is my first hero shooter. Before, my background in competitive gaming was playing Trials of Osiris. And that's Destiny 2. If you know anything about that, you know just how awful it has been over the last couple of years since it pretty much came into existence, but especially over the last couple of years. And it just now started getting better. But in that mode, I went flawless 28 times, completely solo, from season to season, from year to year. That was my solo grind. That was my short range goal, because there was specific loot essentially that I wanted to have. There was a specific ship that I wanted to have. There was specific guns. I had a goal that, I want to have every gun, like new gun that came out this season as an adept. That was my kind of goals, and that's what I would game for. And then in order to go flawless, especially during the days before there was actual like team-based matchmaking and you'd get thrown up against full teams of 3 when you're 3 solos, the way that I approach it, I have the worst social anxiety. I'm sorry. I'm not getting on the mic with nobody. That's just how I am. I'm not going to tell you to get on the mic when I know myself I'm not getting on the mic, which I have my group of people that I play with. Hell, we might start doing some things together, me, you, and the viewership and what I have going on in Discord. We might start having some things that we'll do. But in terms of just random lobbies, dog, I'll cry. I am not a tough man. I'm not taking that kind of abuse. And dog, I got my kid that I've been dealing with all day. I ain't trying to hear nobody else screaming at me. So I'm damn sure going to keep that mic on mute. But the way I play is that I pretty much assume in every game I'm going into carry, because I don't know what the quality of my teammates are. I can't control the quality of my teammates. I can only control the quality of the gameplay that I'm providing. And if I'm just being asked that game, that's a wrap. That's all it is. That's what you got to take it as. And if I'm actually doing better and I'm understanding those things that I am doing better are going to be effective long term, I try to make sure I practice it and I tweak it and I focus on it to make sure I keep adjusting until I essentially have a well-rounded toolkit around my play style that's going to allow me to take on any kind of situation in case I got a hard carry. So that's why I play so many characters on this game. That's why I just now, for the first time, got my first Lord, because when I play characters, I play them in quick play enough until I have an understanding of them, about maybe 5-10 hours until I have a good understanding of them, and then I take them into comp, at least in the lower ranks of comp whenever I'm starting that grind. Now that I'm in Diamond, I'm kind of focusing on a couple of characters: Penny, Magneto, Groot, tanks, mainly tanks. But what I'm trying to do is make sure that I have something in the back pocket that I can focus on. So whenever we're going to look at this gameplay here, that's essentially what I'm going to be looking for, and that's what I'm going to be making comments on, is that points where you can improve or points where you need to kind of have the game sense to understand where you're at in the middle of the battle, which way the tides of the battle are starting to go, and how you could have better either positioned yourself, maybe take note of what kind of abilities you have on cooldown that you could have maybe swapped out. And once again, I'm Diamond 1. I've gotten to the very, very closest edge of Grandmaster, and that is my main goal this season, is to hit Grandmaster, and I might be done with comp. I'm not a player that I can see myself going all the way to Celestial or top 500. If that happens, it happens. But that's not my main goal. My main goal is just to get the Grandmaster so I can prove a point that I am good at this game. And I've been like 2 games away, but for right now, we're just hanging out in Diamond 1. I'm taking my time with it. I'm making sure I'm rounding out my toolkit, and we're going to sit here together. We're going to see if we can figure this one out and see if we can help somebody else do the same thing for their gameplay so they can grind. So if you're in here, I want you to know that I appreciate you very much for letting me do this with your gameplay and for being pretty much the first one on this channel to have us, do this. We got your POV, my friend. You're missing some webs. I know the feeling. I know the feeling. It seems like they're so inconsistent. That's a good little spot that they don't really expect. Now, first things first that I'm going to tell you, as Peni, the first thing that I'm going to do is drop that drone wherever I need it to be. Because the longer that drone is out, and I'm sure you already know this, the longer that drone is out, the more of those little mites it has time to build up. And that's your cluster attack. That's the moment somebody steps in, like usually the first tank that's going to come and try to take out your web, they're going to step in that web and all of them are going to just charge them. And it's going to drop them quick. So I always bank on having that first before I go and set a little trap, because sometimes they'll just Doctor Strange shield their way out, which is probably what they're going to do here. They'll Doctor Strange their way out and just block the mines, or somebody's just going to eat them. But I see you starting to set up here too. The next thing, right over there on your left, you see how a lot of your web was taken out? Let me just actually... So check this out. You drop your web in here, immediately wasted. None of the web is poking out enough. I see what you're trying to do through the walls though, and that just got patched. So we're cooked on that. I know what you're trying to do, but it's not going to jump through the walls anymore. So now we have to be a little bit more considerate about intentionally making sure that the webs are connecting to some degree. So I put mine on the opposite side of that wall and I tuck it in that corner as much as I can. And that's usually the best place that you can, kind of start with on this map without going to the second checkpoint or the second choke point. But right there where you drop that web is where I would have put that drone. And then you laid out all 3 of your webs. And the moment you use one of you did all that work, and the moment you use one of those webs to try to do a snare, you're going to break the first chain because it goes in the last order. So I'm sure you know that as well. But now you just took out your own web that you have to snare to slow people down and break cadence, and you messed up your own trap the moment you accidentally hit LT to do a snare. So that's one of those things where it's like, okay, only try to extend by 2 webs to make sure that in your mind, you got one snare that you can throw at all times, and whatever sat you threw, you didn't mess it up. So here they are. They're pushing on through. Strange is doing what he's supposed to do. Magneto's trying to frontline as best as he can, but Magneto's going up against 2 beefy boys. He's not going to be able to hold it, especially without a Wanda. If you had a Wanda, he could whip out his sword and pause, but he could take out that blade and he could go ahead and attack like another tank and try to chunk them down. He's not going to be able to do it against the other Magneto, but I use it to either break down a shield or break down something from Strange and try to force him to either break the shield or force him to try to go on the attack mode, and then I can really start chunking them. But see, now your first trap fell to pieces because you didn't have a way to stun them, you didn't have a way to slow them down. Another quick thing, all the way in this front corner up here by where the vehicle is coming in, there's that little alleyway. That's my second choke point on this map. Whenever I'm playing defense, if I cannot make it through that first choke point and they're starting to get too close, I retreat backwards and I go to that choke point and I hide the drain in that I hide the drone in that alleyway, and that alleyway will branch out into the street, and that's what they're going to walk into, and it's going to be a little bit harder for them to try to go after it. It's a little bit more defensible, and I've done it in a video before. I don't know if I was able to show it, but you can actually web line from that alley to the top of that building on your left right there. And that is your escape, so you can set up for the second or the third choke point on this map, which is right inside of that little building there. And you can let the web cascade down and onto the steps, and that's going to be harder because they have to come up the steps and around to their right, essentially, to try to take out that drone, because that building is indestructible right there. So you want to try to make it as difficult as possible. You already had that idea whenever you set up your first one, but that's the goal, is you want to make that as hard as possible to find, but as accessible as you can. Now things are really tight. They're already advanced way too much. They're all clustered around the vehicle, so the vehicle's going to move fast. They're not going to give you a chance. Let's see where you set up the next one. In the tree is crazy. Okay. In the tree is nuts. I have never seen that. And I honestly did not realize that it would be as effective as it is right now. See, now you're on it. So right here, in that fight, two things. Always, always, always have some kind of web under your feet. You have to have some kind of web under your feet, right? Whenever you're going through and you're going into a fight as Penny, you want to avoid being in the situation that you were just in, where you're outside of both your main drone and you're outside of any kind of other web. You used a couple of them to lay out a trap, but honestly, it just would have been more effective for you to go ahead and drop that drone on the ground right behind that rock and let that web spread out and cover that playing field, cover that little street that they were coming through. And that way you could have had a little bit more webs on top of you to use for stuns and to use for your escape without having to worry about getting out of, having to worry about running out of your webs and messing up your trap that you set up. And also, whenever you stack them within the web, what I like to do sometimes is I'll throw an extra web. If I'm just using the main drone web as a trap, I will throw an extra snare down at my feet inside of that web, so you have the bonus shield recharge, and that kind of helps out with your sustain. But you have the best healing, self-healing, and self-sustain kind of ability in the game right now. It's really slow, but you have a lot of health to play with. So you want to make sure you're starting every engagement with that extra 200 or 150 shield, whatever it is, where you're at 800 health. You want to start off that high, so that way you can give yourself more time to heal it back. And whenever you're 1v1ing another tank, it's just not going to fly. You don't have enough health to work with, and you don't have enough damage output to work with. So right now, your team is just purely falling to the point that they have two beefy tanks. Like, those tanks are pushing you guys back, and you don't have enough outward DPS. You have a Wolverine who's trying to snatch people, but take them back to where? Take them back to you? You don't have a nest out to help take those tanks out. Whenever they get close, you keep dropping your nest up high. Your Wolverine can't get up there. So I see you're starting to... I guess you were worried about your health there real quick. Agamotto. It is what it is. And there's nothing you can do about that Wanda there, because you're mid-ult. You also dropped your ult away from your drone, which you know that you need to have that drone out so that way you could be effective right there. I guess your idea was trying to just use them as a knockback to create a little bit of time, which I do that a lot. If you see my gameplay sometimes, I'll just run my ult whenever I don't have my drone out, and I'll use it as just pure knockback. And pray, like, maybe I'll use it to hold a point. Pray that I can get, like, a squishy, like a 250 health. So right now, you need to be looking for another choke. The next choke I would go for is right behind that pillar. Right in front of you on your left. But you're going to go to the right. So this makes it a lot harder for you. You got her. That's great. This makes it a lot harder for you to get back out towards your team or to receive any help from your team. That's why I would have set up on the left, but you're going off right now. So you're backlining with Penny. You're doing your thing. Hell yeah, it worked. It was risky, but it worked. So now you're setting up another trap. I wouldn't have stayed there. After that, would have gotten out, moved to the next spot. I know you're trying to not lose those mines, which is very important, but they have a whole nother entryway, which is on the left. And if they get smart enough to do that, then your whole setup is useless. And then here comes Strange just walking in. He's stranging in with his shield, and he's taking up everything you got. And now you just use your ult again without your drone being down. I don't know if you are either, but you should be spamming left and right trigger whenever you're in your ult. Like, even if you're missing, man, the cadence is so weird, it doesn't hurt to just spam the knockback and spam the mine drop. Because sometimes one of those little mines is what's going to go ahead and get somebody, and you're laying webs as you're laying mines, so they don't even see them. But I'm trying to listen for it, and I don't think that I'm hearing it. You hear that, Jeff? Should have webbed up. You were already in a tight room, so there was nowhere for you to escape, really. And that's what you had to do there. But that's exactly what I was talking about. You put yourself in a tight little room where it's a lot harder for you to escape back towards your team. You want a high ceiling. You don't want to put Penny in a really tight room like that. Especially just like what you did right there. Whenever you snag something or you're trying to escape and it grabs some piece of a geometry that's really close to you. You missed a snare. That's okay. Okay. Wolverine is just going off. I didn't know that he could stun her out of that by doing that. And then you went back. Why'd you go back? Why'd you go back? Once again, you're making it work. You're trying to create that space. The tanks are down. You have some time until the tanks come back. But when the tanks come back, then that position is hard to fight again. They just dropped your drone. That you set it up there before. They know that they can get it right there. Another spot right there where you were just at. I don't think it'll climb up and over the ramp very much, but I would have put it at the top of the ramp, or at least up in the top of this little section where, like, they can come in from that back room. I'd put it right there. Oh, here comes the Strange portal. Oh, here comes the thing. I know, it's getting crazy. It's getting crazy, brother. Good shit. Good snare.
This is gonna hurt.
As a Penny, man, I'm always so scared of Squirrel Girl. She's the worst counter to Penny because she can just lob those acorns wherever she wants to. Couldn't get out of it that time, but you knew what you were trying to do. Hope that they get him. It didn't get him. Oh! Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're going off. You're going off. Into the ult. This had to have been a warm-up game or something. This had to have been. Because you're, like, locked the fuck in right now. Okay, we brawling, we brawling. You got Maroon 5'd. Get back to it. How you going to escape? Agamotto, very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Nothing you could have done there. Their team's locking in right now. They're running all their ults. All of them.
We're back in action.
Damn, they whipped out a Hella?
You know what to do, spiders.
Yep. Smart man. Smart man. Now we get the nest placement. It's not doing exactly what you want, but you only got so much time to set up right now. Strange is dropping on you. You're doing what you can, doing what you can. He actually helped you out so much right there. Doing what you can, doing what you can. Another spot to drop a drone right there on that edge. When I'm just desperate. Another thing that helps, but your team just wasn't able to deal with all that pressure after that, especially when they swapped on to Hella. I know she was just chunking you guys, but good defense. Really good defense. You made a lot of smart plays, and it was just a tough matching that won due to purely their team comp. So we're doing another round here. They're swapping around. It was their Magneto that swapped to a Hela. Huh, interesting. You definitely can push with Penny on this map. You can do it. This is the best map, if any, to do it on. But in this case, with their team being the way that they are, I would have been the Magneto. I would have been the one swapping off from that. And if it doesn't work out, then I go ahead and swap over to Penny again if somebody else isn't using her. But whenever you got that Strange and Magneto combo, you need to go heavy on the melee characters. Heavy. Thor. Not Venom. Well, I think Venom's attack does count as a melee. But I've been fucked up by Venom too many times. That's why we're playing as him tonight. Venom, Thor, Hulk, The Thing. Anybody that's throwing hands. Hell, Captain America can even cause some damage. But anybody that's going to cause some hell and do straight melee damage, you just got to not care about those shields because that's what's holding y'all back. Iron Man can't do nothing because everything that he does is negated by shield. The only other melee character you got is Wolverine. Everything you have is negated by shields unless that you're going to, be dropping mines, but the mines are they're so scattered. Sometimes they may hit something, sometimes they might, or they may not. I'm not even spectating you. I'm spectating Iron Man.
This is gonna hurt.
Hmm.
You know what to do, spiders.
Okay, you use the alley. You in the alley now, my boy.
Good job, spiders.
I see you. I really like your perspective, man. You're really trying to go like super aggressive Penny. And I've seen this done well a few times.
You're up, little one.
It always makes me uncomfortable leaving that desk though. It always does. Oh, let's drop this down too. Seeing your health's been down this whole time. Like, dude, I constantly abuse Penny's healing factor. I always use it. Even if I gotta just like web down by my feet real quick and try to remember to disconnect it. Just so I always have that little bit of extra to deal with. Because you never know who you're gonna go against. You might get a Wolverine who gets a damage buff depending on how much health you have. And you can definitely slow him down whenever you snare him. But when he comes back, he's gonna be going at you again for another 3 seconds. That's where your nest comes into play. Your nest just sat back there the whole time. And see, after this, immediately destroy it. When you're moving, destroy it. Because you don't know if it took damage. You have an 11-second cooldown now. Because you forgot to destroy it as soon as everything was done. And as you're going to go set up again.
Fireworks.
Man, you playing like Black Panther right now. You a Black Panther pity. What in the hell? I like it. Dog, I would even go as far as to say, like, you took the time to set the trap, and I appreciate that. But they don't even look. It's a third-person game. They don't even look, man. They're so focused on what's going on in front of them at that crosshair.
Powering up.
You could have just lobbed those, not even put yourself in danger, and then kept it moving.
Looks like I'm the one doing the punishing today.
So now they got a Hulk over there.
Time for some fireworks.
Panic pop. You may get it. Can you get to the health pack? Do you know where the health pack is? You don't know where the health pack is. It's right. It's so close to you. It's so close to you. There is one right behind that little wall over there that you could have ran to real quick. Always think of that too. Whenever you're in that. Ooh. Good shit. You guys got it there. I have yet to successfully do it. I've done it to a Magneto ult, which is weird because Magneto ults will absorb the webs, but I have yet to catch an Iron Man ult. I was hoping you were going to go for it there, but I understand completely why you didn't try. In the moment when you don't know where it's coming from, if it's not like obviously telegraphed in front of you, in the moment when you have it and you don't know where your snare is, it is what it is.
Systems restoring.
So here's the here's the problem that I'm having, and why this is probably not going to go the way that you want it to. I believe I saw the match was like 4-2 or 4-3 or something like that. So you guys do go into another round. But what's really hurting you right now is that you're asking your Magneto with no damage backup, your one Magneto, to fight their two tanks. They have a Hulk and they have a Strange. And there is not enough damage output in the back line to do that. All you have is Magneto, right? Or not Magneto. Yeah, all you have is Magneto, Iron Man, who's trying to, if he's doing his job right, he's supposed to be going for people in the back to get them quickly. And you have your Wolverine. My kind of rule with Penny is that, with any tank, honestly, is that you got to be ready to go tank for tank. Sometimes it's your job to brawl, and that's exactly what they're doing. That Hulk is whammed into you. He was, but you had to guide him all the way back to the nest instead of just being in the nest in the first place. And then you could have just let your teammates help out with that. You're doing good distracting like the small squishies, but once again, that's not your job as Penny. But this is you just basically going DPS Penny mode right now. And then you go back to the web. Could have just been healing the whole time if you're already in the web. But now you got to wait to get some healing from your backup teammates, which you only have a Loki and you have a Invisible Woman. They're chunk healers. And they don't have very far range. Well, Loki has far range, but Loki is also a huge chunk healer. And you got to make sure that you're trying to stay either keeping your health up or making sure that you can be within sight of them for Invisible Woman to throw that shield up for you. Uh-oh. Ult's going crazy right now. It is so lucky that you had that web right there. It is so lucky. Because you were getting mixed up. You were just healing it back. But see, you're doing all this running around. And you're tickling with Penny. You're tickling. Your nest is the afterthought. When you should be leading with it. It's not your... Penny's nest isn't something that you need to, like, laser focus on. But it's not something that you need to ignore either. It's a huge part of her kit. Where a lot of your damage comes from. And these gunfights, even these little guys right here, you see that? All of those mines just got set off, did no damage. You wasted 4 mines trying to get this Hela. Almost fell off the map. But now Hela's got time to get her ult up. Now she's wreaking havoc on your team. Whenever I have somebody at distance like that, I usually try to just, wherever I'm standing, hit them with my primary, keep throwing those snares at them. And keep just juking in my web, making myself a hard target. Penny has a really small head. Against Hela, that's a good 1v1. I take that 1v1 any day. Your team was doing excellent there for you, though. Your team is doing a lot better than I thought they would. But that's what's allowing you to kind of do all these little things with Penny that you don't normally do with a Penny. So once again, I appreciate the science. I think that it's a good way to test and see how much Penny's limits can go to. But in those 1v1 situations, I mean, you gotta basically like get right up on them. Like right up on them and look down at their feet and throw those mines and make them just like basically get all up in your chest. Because those mines they have such a small radius. And it's not hard to sidestep them. It's a lot easier to throw them on the ground and let them kind of explode outwards and throw them on the wall and let them explode like upwards and downwards and to the sides. It doesn't just carry the area as well. Brother, I'm just trying to watch your movement. Okay, I see you. You ain't missing those webs now. You must have been just getting warm in that first round, man. You had to have been. You went right back to this spot again. That same thing. You got to be careful with your tricks, man. if it's working, it's working. But this didn't work out for you the first time. Versus, see, if you would have put it in that corner like I was talking about at the beginning, you could have stretched that walkway straight down the middle. And you could have been tagging people before they would have even gotten under the bridge. But now they get the chance to get all the way inside. Somebody can sneak around the back and get your web without you knowing. It's harder for you to just defend that. That web or that drone cooldown is everything, man. It's everything. Oh, he put a penny on. You pissed them off enough, so they're going to go penny for penny. And they got the Thor in there going there to get your stuff, and he's about to destroy it. Because he has the health to tank it for a while. Nope, he didn't destroy it. I don't know why he... Oh, nope, he's still over there. Yep. He's got the health and he's got the range. I hate a Thor destroying my shit too, man. I hate it. Your team did great holding right here, though. Your Magneto is freaking doing it, man. The Magneto and Wolverine is the most unlikely team up. Once again, you threw it up top. It would be so much more effective, and you'd be able to get so many more tags if you would have just thrown it on the ground. I understand trying to make it tricky and make it hard to reach, but sometimes you got to just bank on the fact that, hey, things are getting real, like, hairy in here. Nobody's really looking like that. And now your team just got swallowed up. And if your nest was down, you might have been able to kill that Jeff. Their spawn's right there. They can get right back to you guys so fast. I know you're trying to use those setups, though. You were probably thinking about using that for your ult. But you got to use your web, like your nest for your team, too. You got to give them a safe place to hang out in. Because once you're fighting alone, it's a hard fight, man. You don't have enough damage. You just don't have the damage. That Penny swapped right back off, though. That's what I'm talking about. Peni Diff the hell out of that Penny. Oh, he almost got you there. He almost got you. You got him now. Good shit. Great move. Great move. Got a little assist from Invisible Woman. She's pocketing you. That's what's up. She's waiting on that web to go down. Get that Thor. Yup. Fucking that Hulk up. Again, stun, man. Stun all the time. Her primary is great. It's unlimited. It's awesome. I know. But sometimes, man, that thing sucks. And they will just heal it back. You're just feeding at that point. You got to be careful not to feed either. Good shit. Get the Invisible Woman. Yes, sir. You went back to default settings there. You're trying to stun that Thor or that Hulk. But see, I would have finished out that fight with Hulk too and kept throwing some mines in the backline. Or at least help my team peel and finish off that fight with Hulk. But you guys held that. Pumping yourself up. I see it. Got to get that game face on. Interesting first approach. Very interesting. I didn't watch you do that closely enough the first time. I did not know that that was a way that you can get through the map. That is so cool. Backlining, but now you got focused. Get back out. What are you going to do? Slip right on back through here. That Penny doing the same thing. Setting the traps in the back line. Once again, it's nice to hide them. But brother, there are so many times where I will do that and I'll just launch it from literally the back line. You can launch them so far. But you're the only one on the team that's doing it, and that's the problem. You're the only one on the team that's going for that back line. So you're doing what you can. Iron Man should be ideally doing that.
Good ult from him. Can you get him? Can you get him? Hulk's down. Web him. All right, he got knocked out. Okay, you guys did win. I thought you guys didn't win this one. Well, hell fucking yeah. I look like a dummy saying I thought you guys weren't going to win. You actually won that. And you Peni Diff the hell out of them. Let's actually go back real quick. Oh, you were MVP too? Why didn't I pay attention to that? All right, let's check this out then. 47-8 with 25 finals. DPS Peni, dog. DPS Peni. Iron Man, 17 kills, 26,000 damage. It was also a long game, too. You guys went into overtime twice. So, well, not overtime, but you went into 2 bonus rounds. So these numbers are you know, what you would expect to get whenever you're playing long games like that. Let's go back to the beginning of this, and I want to see how their Peni did. So their Peni setting up on the ground. This Peni is tripping right now. Holy shit. Oh, psh, I'm so stupid. I had it on ×2. All right. Luxy plays. What do we got here?
This isn't my first trip through the multiverse, you know.
See, look at them breaking their own web chain. And they wasted so much time trying to focus on that trap that they didn't get anything out. You had time to get to the back and sneak in and get that set up. Your Wolverine followed you, and that's what helped that out so good. Oh my god, your teammates were awesome, man. Your teammates were so awesome, because you see how fast did they drop that mine on you, and you had to retreat? But it was just being able to get in there, cause that annoyance, cause that distraction, make them turn around, and let the rest of your team frontline and push them a lot more, which your Magneto is doing his job. He's doing great. Once again, he's setting up traps and stuff, but he's not standing in webs like he's supposed to. He's got one next to him, but his health's not going up. How long was he waiting on that mine to show up there? That drone. So he set up that second choke right there. How's that working out for him? Not well. He's doing what he can. Didn't work out. He gets out. Instead of webbing out, which he has ready to go, he just backed up and kind of just made himself a big old target. He's still waiting on his mine from getting destroyed. Because your Iron Man was doing what he was supposed to do. He was taking out the Peni mine as soon as she would try to put it up. He could have dropped it inside of that corner there, but he dropped it in the back where you guys are going to walk in and see it. Instead of you guys walking past it. Or dropping it over the top like you did in the other game. Or the other round. He's down. Had to go back to Strange. It's that simple. Man, you cooked these dudes. You cooked them. This was a great example of being an aggressive Peni. This was a Black Panther Peni right here. That's probably what I'm going to call it. It's Black Panther Peni. So, awesome game. Awesome, awesome game. Look at those stats, man. Stats going crazy. You went off. You went off completely.